Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please. Okay. Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2 came out a few days ago, and you might be wondering if you're going to enjoy this show if you know absolutely nothing about these characters. Well, I never thought my status as a complete normie would be an advantage, but I am in the unique position of being able to tell you if you might enjoy this show if you have not seen Rebels and Clone Wars, where Ahsoka and these other characters had whole storylines.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Lucasfilm and Dave Filoni had a big job with this show. They needed to strike a balance between doing a deeper dive into these characters and expanding their existing stories, but also making the show accessible enough to lay people like me to try to expand the audience. Disney has been getting into some murky territory lately with shows and movies that kind of require homework, especially for the ever-expanding MCU. Since Ahsoka is a spin-off of previous shows, I don't feel that it's unreasonable to expect to be able to follow along with the basics without that background knowledge. The other hurdle they have is general public perception of their brand. Mandalorian Season 3 was abysmal. The sequel trilogy of Star Wars was terrible. Kathleen Kennedy has been on this whole Force is female kick for a few years now. If you watch the trailer for this show, it was all women, except for one guy who was the bad guy. Now, ordinarily that wouldn't send up too many red flags, but given the general trend in Hollywood and the recent performance from Lucasfilm, it was very concerning. Now, with all of that said, all of that stuff that I brought into the show, I think it works really well, and I'm going to continue watching the show with anticipation. There are a few complaints I have, a couple things that don't work, but overall, I enjoyed these 2 episodes a lot. Like I said, I didn't see Rebels or Clone Wars, so I cannot tell you if this is a good Ahsoka show, but I can tell you this is just good television. Characters have good motivation. The decisions people make sense. There isn't a ton of contrivance where people stumble onto the right place with the right person at exactly the right time. The show moves along at a pretty good pace. Things get explained well. It's good TV. To start, this show kicks off really, really well. We get introduced. There's the bad guys right away. They're totally wrecking a ship all by themselves, busting out a prisoner. Very cool. Then we go right to Ahsoka solving an Uncharted Tomb Raider puzzle, which I thought was a good scene. Then a cool fight with her and some droids and a giant explosion.
I'm Torg, and I'm here to ask you one question and one question only. Explosions?
Great way to start a show. Here are the bad guys and fighting. Here's the hero and the MacGuffin and fighting. Excellent. The good guys are searching for Ezra somebody, and the bad guys are searching for Thrawn somebody, and they're probably looking for the same thing in the same place. All of that in just a few minutes. Very good lead-in. Oh, but then we get to my least favorite part of the show, and this is going to be tough because it's going to be a big part of the show, and that is Sabine. Anderson?
This bitch.
I already hate this character, and I kind of don't even want to watch Rebels or Clone Wars if she's gonna be in them. We're having a celebration of the anniversary of the end of the Galactic War, and we're gonna hear a speech from some of the heroes, including this girl. She drove all the way into town, which we're shown is a very far drive. She showed up, she was in the building, the politicians say they saw her, she was just there. All of that so she could leave before speaking and do a really cool getaway driving out of town with girl rock music in the background. Cool, we get it. She's an edgy teenager, young adult character. Ooh, she hates authority. She's a rebel without a cause. Got it, check. It was a pointlessly dramatic and stupid way to introduce a character, and I already hate her. Then she gives a bunch of lip to Ahsoka, takes the MacGuffin, and gets it stolen. One positive that I will give the showrunners is that they didn't have her just figure out a 1,000-year-old puzzle. It didn't take a lot of screen time, but they effectively showed a passage of like a whole day, and she was really stuck on it, and she couldn't figure it out. So I'll give them points for that. She didn't just go be a teenage genius instantly. Having no background, what I'm getting is that Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan before she left entirely. Sabine was her Padawan and former Mandalorian, but they bickered a lot, and she left. This Ezra person is obviously a Jedi, don't know who their master was, and he defeated Thrawn somehow by sacrificing himself, and in the process, they were both thrown into a different dimension. Green General Woman was friends with all of them and then went on to rise in the ranks of the New Republic. How am I doing so far? That's all I need to know. Would it have been cool to have a deeper understanding of these characters? Yeah, it probably would have, but my point here is the show did a great job of giving me exactly what I need to not feel lost, but also not doing an hour of exposition dump.
Pretty impressive.
I also like these bad guys. Again, given recent Disney history, I really thought this bad guy, Balin, was going to be some chauvinist douche, or he was going to be like some weak bitch getting pushed around by everybody, including his own girl Padawan, but he's really cool so far. He's not comically mustache-twirling evil, he's just a Force-using mercenary who's wanting to ride this Admiral Thrawn guy to power. He's got that respect for his enemies thing going on, which is nice. He's giving off really cool, calm Count Dooku vibes. I like it. His emo girl Padawan is also pretty good, although she hasn't spoken too much yet. The hunched shoulders, the heavy eyeliner, I was really worried that she was going to be like a psycho killer who was just always on the edge of going crazy on everybody, and she was going to try to be looking tough by being mean and edgy and nuts, but it really just comes off as sloppy and immature. You know that kind of character. I'm interested to see where she goes, but please, for the love of all things, do not let her and Sabine team up together with the power of friendship in a girl power moment and take on Balin because she realizes she just shouldn't have been a bad guy. And if Sabine tells her it's never too late to not be a dick, I swear. I'm also interested to see if this show explores some non-typical Star Wars things. I'm very interested in these witches. Who are they? How did they develop the technology to chart the stars out and find this alternate dimension multiverse thing that we might be doing? I'm interested to explore Ahsoka being one of the gray Jedi, which I only know about from Knights of the Old Republic. Are we introducing new dimensions? Are these bad guys on the dark side? Are they Sith? Or are they just Force users who became mercenaries? The point is, I am dying to see stories that don't involve the freaking Skywalker or Palpatine families, and somewhere to lay our scene other than fair Coruscant. Oh, and this guy with the cape? I'm sorry, he is exuding cool. The Dark Souls armor, the cape, the dual saber, this dude is badass. My buddy Jeff tells me that apparently online there's a lot of speculation that he might actually be Ezra in disguise or some other big character that they're going to want to do like a cool reveal with. Honestly, I hope they don't do anything like that. Just let a cool henchman be a cool henchman. Obviously, he's going to die in the end, but just don't try to use him for a big reveal or a twist or something. That's so overdone. So I'm loving it. I'm very interested so far, but of course, there are a few things that caught my attention in a bad way. First, the big one, the lightsaber stab. Sabine is dead. She's dead. No question. She got stabbed in the gut with a lightsaber. Super dead. Decades of Star Wars have told us, you're dead. Or the blonde is just an idiot. You're telling me that she pulled that lightsaber straight out to make a perfect wound? She could have just pulled it sideways or flicked her wrist, and that stupid girl would be in two pieces and the show would be better for it. Seriously though, this really does hurt the show, because now the stakes are basically nothing. Even in the new trilogy, for the garbage that it was, they had the smarts to have Kylo Ren get like grazed in the face with a saber and it left a scar. They didn't try to pretend like he got stabbed with a lightsaber and then walked it off. Like I said, I was talking to my friend Jeff, and he was like, he thinks it would have been cool to actually kill her in that first episode. And I was like, yeah, you're damn right. And he's like, no, not because she sucks, but because she's so well known from those other shows. Having a major character like that die in the first episode would have been big, and it would have really raised the stakes. It also could have created some interesting questions for Ahsoka. We could have done the whole like, oh, is this my fault? What if I had been there kind of thing, and watched her deal with the weight of that death. Next bad thing, Sabine. Again, I'm sorry. I can't express how bad she is, but not just the character. The actress playing her is not doing a good job.
I can't train if Ahsoka doesn't want to teach me.
Hello, Hu Yang? Still in one piece?
Well, then I should have made a good one. I won't waste any more of her time.
It's especially jarring when she's on screen with a seasoned actress like Rosario Dawson, who is delivering an excellent performance here. Her lines are just falling flat. She's trying too hard to do the edgy, bratty girl thing. It's just none of it is working with her. Lastly, we've got the MacGuffin and the multiverse. Now, by the end of episode 2, the MacGuffin starts to make more sense, but I was super nervous at first. You've got this guy, Thrawn, that disappeared, I don't know, a couple years ago, decade ago. That's the impression that I'm getting. But she found the MacGuffin in a 1,000-year-old temple of some sort. The math ain't mathin'. It does look like maybe it's gonna make sense, and I'm gonna give the show time to explain it and see how Morgan knew where it was and what it did, what it could be used for, and how exactly Thrawn ended up exactly where this thing was pointing. So look, I don't know how the true fans are taking this, but I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm gonna keep watching it and keep reviewing it. If you do want to get all caught caught up before you watch this show, Screen Crush has a really great recap. It's only a half an hour long, sums up 127 hours of television, apparently. I'll link in the description. I'm not going to watch it, though, because I want to be able to give an honest normie opinion each week. Have you seen the show? What are your thoughts? And are you considering watching it now that you know there's not required homework? I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.